And the issue that I'm discussing today is very, very complex. And I've been handling this issue for a long time. The first time that we published this was in 2021. And this case is very, very significant because it touches on things that are currently happening in the courts. The courts of Zimbabwe are very, very corrupt at all levels. And that is why you are seeing that Chamisa is not going to the courts. He's refusing to file affidavits at the courts because he understands the extent of the corruption at the courts in Zimbabwe, at the Supreme Court, at the Constitutional Court, at the Magistrates Court, at the regional courts. There is a lot of corruption taking place there. And now what has happened is that a very well-known businessman in Harare, that is Tendai Mashamanda. If you know Mashwede is one of the biggest entertainment places in Zimbabwe. In fact, in Harare. And what has happened is that Mashamanda is the son of the owner of Mashwede, and he's got a case which has been ongoing, a dispute. And he has now written 3 times to Ziambi because he says there is a judicial cartel in Zimbabwe. And the judicial cartel, he says it is set by and is led by Tendai Biti. And he has demonstrated how this is led by Tendai Biti. Tendai Biti apparently working with very high-ranking members of the judiciary. That is people at the Judicial Services Commission, especially Chikwana, who is the executive secretary there. They are being accused of holding secret meetings, which included state security agents. And Tendai Biti's employees were involved in those meetings. The purpose of such meetings was to claim or to sort of extort cash from Mashamanda. And we're talking here of thousands and thousands of dollars. They have met already 3 times. And I just want to unpack how extensive this thing is. The whole top judiciary of Zimbabwe is involved and is implicated in this whole thing. And specifically, if you look at what we published yesterday, there is Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, Elizabeth Kwaunza. She's involved in this. And it goes as far as the actual Chief Justice himself. If you look at the dossier that was published by employees of the Judicial Services Commission, which was copied to ED, it was copied to all media houses. And what I've done is I've shared again that dossier. It's sitting on, if you go on our Facebook page, you click there, you'll see the dossier that was written by the employees of the Judicial Service Commission to ED and to all these high-ranking bodies, ZAC, police. The reports have been made. Police reports have been made. Reports have been made to ZAC. And the corruption has not stopped. And if you look at Justice Mtevenzi, he features very, very prominently in that dossier. Some of the people that feature in there include people like Malava and Chikwana also features in that dossier, which comes back from 2019. So there is indeed a cartel, according to Mashamanda here, and he has named Tendai Biti as the kingpin of the cartel. So let me read a quote of what he said here. On July 2023 and July 27, 2023, my father attended the meeting at 41 Ridgeway Highlands between the Secretary of the Judicial Services Commission, Walter Chikwana, and 6 state security personnel. So that is the meeting. On 27 July, Chikwana attended the meeting with his lawyer. Chikwana promised to write a letter instructing the deeds registrar to reverse cancellation of my title deed. This commitment turned out to be bogus, as nothing was done. The scheme was meant to squeeze money out of me, pretending that it represented fees for reversing the title deed. So these guys are doing this for money. Mashamanda said Tendai Biti is the kingpin of the judicial cartel. I'm certainly not the first to complain about the existence of a judicial cartel that operates as though the judiciary is their property and they do as they please. The judicial cartel is the epicenter of corruption. I believe that it was founded by Tendai Biti during the inclusive government period. The cartel is out of control and it has single-handedly brought a dark cloud over the judicial arm of government. The shenanigans of this cartel are a matter of public record, and there are numerous detailed reports, articles, and dossiers that have been circulated in the public and social media, wherein the vices of corruption, fraud, nepotism, and sexual abuse have been outlined by hordes and hordes of victims. Tendai Biti was approached to comment on this issue, and he says he will not comment because he's not seen the letter. The letter was written to Ziambi, who is the Justice, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Minister. So the judges involved here are all over the place. They are very high ranking. What they do is they change transcripts. They don't give judgments. They reserve judgments and they give them after they're prescribed 180 days. And there's a whole bunch of allegations. If you look at Chikwana himself and Mtevez is apparently ED's cousin. So they're named. That's why I want you to go and have a look at that dossier. They're named in this corruption that is taking place. And it's not just corruption. They date subordinates, married women, sometimes by force. And if you look at Deputy Justice, Chief Justice Elizabeth Gonza, in 2022, the founder of Women's Comfort Corner, Rita Mbata, wrote again to the Judicial Services Commission and said she changed the transcript of court proceedings. And after this was done, you know why she was not fired? Because Mbata wrote to Chikwana. So it was basically like you go to a police station and you report to the dirty cop. That is what happened here. But I didn't even know that this is what was happening. So it's terrible and it's unfortunate. You saw the case that was published last week. The Judicial Services Commission employees in Plumtree. The one guy there was sleeping with I don't know how many women. There were videos and pictures which were found by the wife. She circulated them online. So corruption is not just at a legal level, but it's also on other levels that are personal. I've talked specifically to a woman who was abused by these guys, and her husband had a look at this dossier, and she was very, very distraught about this whole case. They are real victims of these things that are happening. And Tendai Biti needs to answer. I remember what I said about Tendai Biti and state agents when he addressed in Victoria Falls. He needs to answer to these things. When his name is mentioned as the kingpin, either he takes it up or he responds to the allegations that are made here by a very, very senior businessman. This businessman has got interest in Zimbabwe. He's not just talking. These guys have undergone a lot of problems. You know that Mashode has been robbed multiple times at gunpoint, and they lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is this connected to these issues that we're seeing here? The extortion by the judicial cartel, which is apparently and allegedly led by Tendai Biti. So please have a look at the dossier. This story is in the news. Mashamanda is not someone who just goes out. He's a very serious business person. He's taking a big risk here, and he's not someone who just goes out and names people for no reason. It's not possible for him to do that. So this is a very, very interesting but critical story. And then I want to answer my friend here, Roland. Check the CCC constitution submitted by Shabangu, page 8, forgot to alter Pakan's MDC to CCC. So let me tell you what has happened with that case. And I want to give you a bit of detail. So what has happened is that in court, the arguments. And the argument of Shabangu is that timber, the documents actually presented were not supported by a affidavit from Chamisa. So Timber has got no locus to represent the CCC. There is no such party that he represents, because Chamisa is the president of the party, but Chamisa has not submitted a sorry, I'm saying dossier because I've been talking about dossiers, an affidavit. So he's saying if Chamisa is being represented by Timber and there is no position for Timber in the CCC, why is Chamisa not presenting an affidavit to say whatever Timber is saying, he's representing me? And also, the copy of the constitution that was signed by Chamisa, he is saying, how do you know that this was the constitution and not the one that he submitted? So Roland, you understand where the case is, and you understand why Chamisa is not submitting these affidavits. It's like submitting the affidavit to the devil. That is basically what Chamisa is saying. He's not going to do it. He's been refusing to recognize these guys in the judiciary. What Chamisa has been doing instead, I think, is to focus on the dialogue and on the SADC issues. The guys who are doing the MP thing, they are the lower level guys. I don't think Chamisa should be doing it. And anyway, Chamisa is going to lose one way or the other. So he knows it and he's not going to waste his time. And that is what has been happening. So that court case has been reserved. And I think it's going to be this weekend we will get an answer, or today. And I think the justice there is Chitapi. Those guys, they will find a way, a loophole to make the elections go ahead, the by-elections. And Shaban, what he's saying is he's recalling people who have stopped being members of the CCC. He says there are now 2 CCCs, and he is the real CCC. So if you identify with the CCC, which has got Timber, then you get recalled because you're not a member of the CCC that is represented by Shabangu, and which Mutevezi said was the CCC. You understand how it goes? So this is the situation currently, and this case was reserved just on those bases that I've explained. That Timber is being questioned. What is your locus? How did you represent Chamisa? Where did Chamisa say you represent him? And that is where the difficulty in these cases. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I'm doing this very, very early because I still need to do my gym. My days are packed these days, and I'm going to be at sea very, very soon. And obviously, as you know, I'm starting my doctorate studies, and I'm going to be having very, very little sleep going forward. But we're going to keep this thing under control in terms of watching everything that is happening. As soon as the story comes out, we'll be out with it, and I'll be doing more of these morning presentations to give you an update on the news as it arises. Today's top story, definitely, Tendai Biti being named as the kingpin of the cartel, the judicial cartel in Zimbabwe, which is working with state security agents, people in the president's office, people in the Judicial Service Commission, people like Chikwana, who are named as having secret meetings with people involved in cases, extorting money, and also changing the transcript of the court. There is a lot here, and Chamisa has to dissociate himself from Tendai Biti as soon as possible if these allegations continue to arise. They came from 2019, and this cartel started during the GNU, according to businessman Tendai Mashamanda, the son of the owner of Mashwede. And these are very, very serious allegations. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And we'll talk again very, very soon. As soon as there's an update, I'll be back to give you an update.